Hey man,
Hey Sid, how you doing?
I'm okay. Pleasant surprise. You see on a Saturday. I was expecting it for tomorrow, but it's always man. I was not watching much of the match because I was on the PC. I was trying to follow much on ESPN, but how much did they collapse by? Because yeah, 190 all out is a bit crazy.
Yeah, let's start with the big game that we just watched so far. India and Pakistan, there was so much of hype going to this game. Pakistan won two on the trot, India won two on the trot. This was going to be a blockbuster game. But,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
mean, we've seen this with Pakistan when they play India in World Cups. If they lose one or two, quick
Hmm.
wickets, they kind of implode. And that's what we saw here today. 155 for two. And
Oh,
I just want to say this. I mean, 155 for two, and you end up with a score of 191 all out.
yeah,
So that is a collapse of
unforgivable.
30. That is a collapse of 8 for 36. That is not on. That is absolutely criminal for a team of Pakistan's caliber. And just the other day they chased 343 against Sri Lanka. That was the highest chase in the World Cup. We were all talking about Pakistan. Wow, this batting lineup is looking good. But yet
Hmm.
again, the emotions got to them, and they kind of found a way to implode. And they did implode today. They did implode, and in quite you know in quite dramatic fashion. 36 for the loss. I mean, 36 for the loss of 8 wickets. That's kind of criminal, hey, in a 50 over game.
Yeah, the pitch wasn't even that bad. It looked like a nice pitch to bat on. So from what I saw, I don't know if it got any worse after I left. How was the pitch to you?
Oh, Sid, this pitch was a belter. If you look at the
Yeah.
opening stand with Shafiq and Imam, the ball was coming on. Imam hit Siraj for three boundaries in his first over, and Babar and Rizwan were looking in cruise control.
Mm, mm.
You didn't kind of see this happening because when Babar and Rizwan were at the crease, you could say 300 plus was on the cards here. India were looking a bit flat in the field.
Mm, mm,
Um, and you really couldn't see a breakthrough coming. But then again, Pakistan, to their own downfall, they found
mm.
a way to lose wickets. And just after they lost Babar, Iftikhar
Yeah.
came in, he tried to play a bit expensive. You know, they,
Mm,
in a way, I felt they were trying to get out of jail. They were trying to just, because they lost a bit of momentum, they're trying to get the momentum back, which I don't think was the right game plan. I think the most sensible thing was just batting out your 50 overs. And if you bat
yeah.
out your 50 overs, you're going to get 280, 290. With Pakistan's
That's
bowling
better than
attack,
nothing. Better
with
than nothing,
Pakistan's
man.
bowling attack, you'll probably give your
Yeah. Yeah.
give your players a chance, give your bowlers a
Mm.
chance because we know how
Especially
good
at night
Pakistan
time,
is
man.
with it.
Yeah,
We know
night time.
how Pakistan is.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what I was saying, we know how good Pakistan is with the new ball. The new
Mm,
ball bowlers are fantastic. Shaheen Shah can swing it both ways. He can
mm.
swing it away,
Yeah.
he can swing it into you with pace. And then you've
Mm,
got Haris Rauf, who's got pace as well. He can clock it to about 150, so he bowls rockets. And you've got Hassan Ali that bowls a good length as well. So that's a good attack. That's a good balanced attack. And I just feel they didn't give their bowlers enough, and then they kind of shot themselves in the foot here. It's a bit of a disappointing score for the game. I'd say
mm,
probably the biggest game of the World Cup, and for Pakistan
mm.
to dish out this kind of performance with the bat, I think a lot of people back home in Pakistan are going to be furious, watching this
Yeah.
performance. And I think the spectators in the ground as well. Of course, they're happy that India is doing well, but obviously they wanted to get their money's worth and stuff. I
Yeah.
kind of thought they didn't get their money's worth with Pakistan's batting performance, but then again, we're going to see in the second innings. But India, India, are hot favorites now to chase this down well with
Yeah.
probably 15 overs to spare. Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually a team effort here. All the bowlers got 2 wickets each, and yeah, I was just gonna say that it's even with this total, even if Pakistan start off well with the ball, India will win this by at most, at the worst case, 5 wickets if they really bowl well. But I don't see a big upset here. Although I would say even if Pakistan lose today, right, at least if they can make India work hard for these runs, I still think they'll make semis. Remember that Champions Trophy? When Ricky Arthur was the coach. They also lost to India quite embarrassingly. They made the finals and they whipped India's butt. So it's not like the end of the world for Pakistan, seriously. I mean, they seem to bounce back when they play terribly, which they've done today. So I'm not really going to worry too much about it. But as a neutral, I am pretty disappointed with the score. But as an India supporter, I'll be happy with it. Let's put it that way. Hmm. Oh, okay. Oh, hey man.
Hi, Sid. Sorry about that, man. I just had a call coming. Uh,
Yeah, what were you
do
gonna
we
say?
start first
Yeah,
segment of
yeah,
video?
yeah. What were you gonna say before we actually got cut off there?
Um, yeah, I was talking about, they just didn't have enough. I don't feel they have enough for their bowlers to defend.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
they
We
can't, they can't.
agree.
I feel
Mm,
Pakistan are like 100 short. If I really want to be frank here, they're about 100 short. I mean, with India's
mm,
batting lineup, and I mean the superstar is back today,
yeah.
Shubman Gill up the order, so they're
Mm,
going to be hard to stop. And I mean, Pakistan, as I said, they got a good quality bowling attack in terms of their fast bowling. So
mm.
they just needed something for their bowlers to have a crack at. So um, the thing is with Pakistan, the next game is against Australia, and that's going to be a real that's going to be a test, I feel, Sid, because I mean, if they go down here, and let's
Yeah.
just say for some reason Australia will be, yeah, they'll be going all out for a win in that game there. So things are quite cramped up at the.
Mm.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Let's just revisit the matches that have happened this week. We'll just go through the main ones. Yeah, New Zealand giving England a spanking was not something I had really predicted, although I did predict it would be close. So I was kind of rooting for New Zealand because I'm just not a fan of England for some reason. They won quite convincingly, by actually not really convincingly. That's an understatement. They really bashed them. 9 wickets with so many overs. Ravindra, man of the match. What were your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see this coming. Unbelievable performance from New Zealand. I mean, you got to give them credit. I mean, England, I don't think they batted well enough. I think if they really put their foot down, they would probably make 340,
Hmm.
330, 340. And as I say, 300 is always a psychological score, so no matter which way you look at it. But I mean, this was a belter. This pitch was a belter. It was a belter of a wicket. And the strokeway of Conway and Ravindra, especially Ravindra as well.
Hmm.
I mean, that was superb. It just took the game completely away from England. England really didn't pitch up. They
Yeah.
didn't pitch up for this game at all. I mean, the energy levels were low in the field. Their bowling was ordinary. The batting, had a lot to be desired. I think a lot of batters got starts and they got themselves out. They
Hmm.
were kind of playing like a T20 kind of version in an ODI. It's
Hmm.
kind of the way Australia were playing here in the last couple of ODIs in the SA series,
Hmm.
where they were trying to go hard in the play and then ended up losing a whole lot of wickets and ended up losing the games really, really badly. So, that kind of mindset doesn't work in ODI cricket. So,
Yeah.
ODI cricket is still a game where you've got to buy your time.
Yeah.
50 overs. Dude, you've got 50 overs to bat. You've got plenty of time
Yeah.
to get that run rate up. So I don't understand why this kind of mindset in an ODI game. But anyways, they did bounce back well in the next game. So this was a bit of a wake up call for England in this game. But I mean, New Zealand again, you write them off at your peril. Hey, I mean, a very well-oiled machine, and as you say, a tournament team. It's just that they just can't get past that
Yeah.
that final hurdle. That's the one thing that obviously lets them down. But I mean, great start to the World Cup for them, hey?
Yeah, I mean they're making finals, not just semi. It used to be semi, then we used to have a good, and people would have just have a good laugh at it. But now they're making finals. They probably do one, but maybe not this World Cup. Maybe the next World Cup. Oh no, that's in South Africa. Oh gosh, when will they get a World Cup now? Oh, I feel so sorry for them. They're such nice people. But anyway,
They,
yeah, I don't know.
they
It's a
are.
funny.
I mean, New Zealanders are probably some of the friendliest people you'll ever meet in the world. I think they're very hospitable people as well, and I kind of like that culture of New Zealand where you've got you've got the European culture, and you've also got the Maori culture as well, which is the original inhabitants of New Zealand. So that kind of culture actually blends well. I think they're much more of a it's a very warm place to be, and I know a lot of people that actually been to New Zealand
Oh,
and actually actually went and lived in New Zealand. I mean, the people are very friendly. They're very hospitable. So it is a friendly
okay.
nation. It is a friendly compared to their neighbors not too far away. It's kind of a different story there. But yeah, I mean, I like New Zealand. I like the way they play the game, the way they conduct themselves in the field. I think it's very admirable.
Yeah. Now, speaking of another friendly nation, is South Africa, our country, against Sri Lanka, and man, they're batting out their 50 overs. So something for the established nations to learn from. Who would have thought Australia has to learn from us, and along with England? Although England did bounce back in second ODI, so I don't want to pick on England so much. I mean, South Africa whooped Sri Lanka. First they whooped. It was a comfortable win by 102 runs. Could have been a lot worse for Sri Lanka, but I think yeah, man. Adam Markham batted really well. 106 of 54 balls. I think there were 3 centurions. Oh my God. In this match. So yeah, South Africa, yeah, man. Great performance by us, eh? Although our
Yeah,
fielding
I
was
mean,
pathetic. I think it was 2 out of
look,
3 departments it was for us.
I,
Yeah.
I was a bit concerned, I was a bit concerned about this game slightly because I mean, SA are normally slow starters in tournaments in recent years. They start off very slow. But I mean, wow, this was a batting display of the highest order. So I mean, De
Mm.
Kock I mean, that was one of the best I've seen him play. He looked so assured. He looked in control. I mean, Rassie coming back, SA missed Rassie big time in the last T20 tournament in Australia last year. So I felt that stability in the batting, especially in that middle order, was so important. And Rassie coming in at number 3. I mean, he hit his first 2 balls for 4. And I said, this could be Rassie's day. And wow, pretty for Bavuma. He didn't really trouble the scorers, but I mean, he did get a good ball at the end of the day. And I think 95% of the time that ball is going to get you out. But I mean, De Kock, Rassie, and then the man of the moment, Aiden Markram. I mean, wow, this has got to be one of the most improved players in world cricket. And this is the reason why South Africa's middle order is actually one of the best in the world. I would say, with the likes of India at the moment, 2 of the best batting lineups in the tournament are India and South Africa, and you see why. I mean, you've got a middle order of Rassie, you've got a middle order of Markram, Klaasen, and Miller. I mean, that's as powerful as you get, hey? And that was a fantastic innings from Aiden. And I mean, Miller and Janssen, who I also think is a great asset to SA cricket, and I think he's just going to be growing from stint to stint as an all-rounder. I mean, he's still so young, and with his height, that gives him an advantage. In the bowling, where he can extract that extra bounce and trouble batters. So I mean, I spoke to you off air, and I don't know if I mentioned this to you. The Janssen was one of the issues why South Africa didn't perform very well in that T20 World Cup last year, because I mean, he adds variety to this bowling lineup. He adds balance, and that's something that SA lacked for quite a number of years now. They lacked the balance because they didn't have a good quality all rounder. And there we have one now in Marco Janssen that's on the right path. So 428 for 5. You couldn't have asked for anything better, buddy. I mean, fantastic batting performance. I mean, completely better Sri Lanka out of the game. But this is the part where I was not impressed with the bowling. I mean, it was a good start from Marco to get Nissanka out, but I think after that, I think SA bowling was not really up to standard, in the sense that they gave a lot of boundary balls away, in the way Mendes and Shanaka to an extent were batting. I think they were batting with free will. I mean, I got to give them the benefit of the doubt. This was a batting paradise, if you think about it. But I feel we could have been a little bit more clinical in finishing this game. 326. I just feel it was a bit too much to give to Sri Lanka. I mean, after battering them in the field. I mean, putting on 428. I would say SA could have easily won the game by 200 runs. But 102 is not a bad return, but I mean, they could have been a lot more clinical. But I mean, I can understand it's the first game of the World Cup, getting acclimatized conditions. But mind you, I think Delhi is the best pitch for batting in this World Cup, Sid. And you're going to see a lot of big scores in Delhi. So, I mean, batters really enjoy.
Who would have thought Delhi?
Enjoy this cricket. I mean, they really didn't enjoy this cricket. And the funny thing is, this wicket was considered substandard in the IPL. And this is actually it's actually a batting pattern. So, a bit surprising, but batters are really going to enjoy batting on this wicket.
No, I was going to say, but our fielding was really bad, South Africa. So that's why I don't want to punish the bowlers so much. If we fielded well, the bowlers would have got their wickets and they would have definitely won quicker. So if you field well, the bowlers look good, right? If you get what I mean. It's like, let's get to this Australian match, because this is kind of where it becomes more relevant, because Australia's fielding has been really pathetic in this whole World Cup, man. Against India, I mean, they dropped Kohli, and I really saw the highlights. I'd never seen the drop catch like that. We expected more with the Asian teams, And I shouldn't say that, but it's true. Like, look at this, 199 all out, 2-on-1, 1-for-4. Fine, I admit the pitch was challenging, but I mean, the fielding was good. But I'm okay winning, but I can only imagine what would have happened at Kohli being caught. That's the only thing. 20-for-4. What a match that could have been. Sheesh.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this game here, I mean, Australia lost an early wicket of Marsh, but then they dug themselves in a hole. They let the Indian bowlers bowl to them. They let the spinners bowl to them. They didn't really use their feet. They didn't really go after them. And, they dug themselves in a hole yesterday. And, I don't think anyone actually, went past 50 in this game for Australia and the World Cup, and this is how it is. I mean, we'll get to that next game where that performance is something they want to forget. But I mean, this game here, I mean, India's spinners really, really pulled the strings yesterday. Jadeja, Kuldeep, and Ashwin. I mean, they really strangled this Australian batting lineup who, were much vaunted going into this tournament. Everybody was talking about Australia and how they attacked the power play overs and stuff. But this batting effort was very un-Australian-like, I feel. It was very timid. It was really, really timid. As I say, they dug themselves in a hole and they couldn't get out. I mean, 199. You give your bowlers a little bit of chance, but I mean, the way they started with the ball was sensational. I mean, Stark and Hazelwood, good lengths, good lines. I mean, India 2 for 3. I mean, nobody expected that. But then you saw a batting masterclass from KL and Kohli, and that is how you go about chasing a total. Yeah. And they blunted this Australian attack to all parts. But getting to what you said previously, that drop catch from Marsh of Kohli. I mean, the way I've seen Australia feel in this World Cup has been absolutely atrocious, absolutely shocking. I mean, this is something you don't associate with Australia, Sid. I mean, they always decide that's fighting on the field, saving every run they can, save on the boundary ropes, diving, putting their bodies on the line. And you didn't see this from Australia. It's kind of like they just gave up. When KL and Kohli were batting, I mean, they went defensive. They started spreading the field. I mean, it was very silly, the kind of decisions they were making. I mean, Pat Cummins, I think his thinking was a bit, I'd say, scrambled in a way. I mean, it was desperation as well, but it was quite a tame effort from Australia with the bat and in the field after that initial 3 wickets. So, I mean, comfortable end for India in the day, at the end of the day. And I mean, so they thought, that this is just a blip. But as we go later on, this actually was not a blip. Australia do have major problems in this World Cup.
Yeah, you can just give me a quick thoughts on your other favorite team, England. They whooped Bangladesh's butt by 137 runs. David Malan, who made 140 from 107 balls. As he told me, he was born in England, but I think his parents are from South Africa, if I'm correct.
Malan was actually born in England, but he's obviously got South African roots with regards to his parents, and I think he did spend a bit of his childhood in SA as well. But I mean, I kind of like this guy. I think he's a good batter, and he's somebody that complements Bairstow. Bairstow is the one that can go after the bowling, and Malan is the one that can anchor the innings. So. I mean, I think this is a good call to play him in the World Cup. I think Jason Roy, I mean, he's had his times, but I think he's been out of touch for a while now. And, I think teams have worked Jason Roy out. 2019 World Cup, he was unbelievable. He had a great 2019 World Cup. Let's not forget that. And I think, it was one of the reasons why England went so far in the World Cup was because the way Jason Roy and Bairstow, took teams apart with that opening partnership. But this partnership is a lot different. I mean, Bairstow is still there, and he can attack. But Malan is the one that's got that touch. He's got that class about him. And whenever you see Malan batting, you're going to get a classy innings from him. So, I wasn't surprised that he got in and scored some big runs here. But I mean, they were all over Bangladesh in this game. So. And reached Topley with the ball. He reached Topley with the ball. I mean, he was sensational, at the back end. And I think one too many for them to chase at the end of the day.
Yeah, man. Okay, we'll quickly revisit this one because Pakistan's performance today was bizarre because when you look at the last match against Sri Lanka, they chased 345 by 6 wickets, 10 balls remaining. Rizwan made 131 of 121 balls, so it is a bit of a weird performance, to put it politely, today. That is by Pakistan. But anyway, as I said, it won't worry me much. They always seem to bounce back when they need to. So I think, Pakistan played really well against Sri Lanka. I think you told me at one stage that Pakistan were going to lose to Sri Lanka because of the way they started, but then I didn't want to worry too quickly because I know how They are Pakistan. But then I think if they didn't beat Sri Lanka, yeah, it would have been a bit worrying, especially for today's match, although it didn't really make much difference.
Look, you know what? I wouldn't say Pakistan played the perfect game in this match. If you look at Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka batted superbly in this innings, and I think Pakistan's fielding was very poor in this game. So, there were a few drop catches, and they gave a lot of boundary balls away, and I think Sri Lanka, they actually took a liking to Shine, and they went after him in this game. I don't know if it was a deliberate tactic to go after the spearhead bowler. If such, but it actually paid off for Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka batted quite well in this game, Sid. And if I look at Sri Lanka, this is the thing that frustrates me about this team. They seem to have a very good batting lineup. They seem to have a side that can score 300s, but their bowling is probably, I would say, one of the worst in the tournament. You know, at the moment, the number of runs they're leaking, Sid. I mean, they leaked almost 800 runs in 2 games. I mean, 428 against SA. And then 340 plus in this game here. So that is the concerning thing for Sri Lanka. Said their bowling attack, it just doesn't have that variety. I think Hasaranga is a massive miss for them. I don't think the other spinners are actually stepping up to the plate. You know, the likes of Velage, you know, are still a youngster, and you know, World Cup pressure is probably something they haven't, you know, they haven't experienced before. But the one thing about Sri Lanka, they always produce such good swing bowlers. And I don't see a lot of good swing bowlers coming out of Sri Lanka at the moment, Sid. And even a guy like Patirana, I mean, there was so much of hype about him going to this World Cup, but he just hasn't lived up to the hype. And I think the great MS Dhoni was speaking about this, you know, off air about, you know, Patirana being a fantastic T20 bowler and not a very good 50-over bowler, because he's obviously his bowling technique puts a lot of stress on his upper body as well. So, you know, Dhoni explained to, you know, obviously that was the advice that he gave out to the Sri Lankan team, that you've got to use Patirana very wisely. And I think he's actually a good find for T20 cricket, but not so much for 50-over cricket at the moment. Hey, he's really struggling, the youngster. I do feel for him. I do feel for him.
Yeah, it's a good learning experience.
I mean, this game had it all. This was a quite exciting game to watch, eh? I mean, you had Kushal Mendis, who I think has been outstanding in this World Cup so far. He's been brilliant with the bat. I mean, in that SA game and in this game, yeah. I mean, the way he took Pakistan, he kind of took Pakistan to cleaners, yes, Sid. And he had some great support with Sama Wikarama as well, hey, who also chipped in with a century. So, I mean, when I looked at this game, 340, I thought Sri Lanka, well, you know, they've got enough here, and this is an uphill task for Pakistan. But I mean, the way Shafiq and Rizwan batted in that chase, they were so controlled and composed compared to what we saw today. Today was a far cry from what we saw on Tuesday. I mean, that was some brilliant chasing in a pressure situation as well. And you know, it seems like Pakistan were never under pressure in that chase. I mean, Sri Lanka just made it so easy for them, Sid. So that's the one thing that is a bit concerning for Sri Lanka. But I mean, it's still a long way to go. So they have played 2 good teams already. So I mean, they should have games where they can rack up a few points. So yeah, I feel this next week is going to be very, very interesting in terms of matches, because there's a lot of teams that got to get off the marks. So you're going to kind of get some exciting games to come now, hey? You are going to get some exciting games.
Yeah, before we get in next week, we didn't get into the one that really gave you a lot of joy. Australia being whipped by us by 134 runs. Quinton de Kock is in the form of his life, 2 centuries in a row. So yeah, I didn't expect such a massive win by us. I thought it would have been a much closer match, eh? When you gave me all the messages on WhatsApp and with your emojis, I was a bit shocked, didn't believe it. But then I was watching a bit of Crick Buzz, and yeah, they were really shocked by Australia's fielding performance. It's been really disgusting. And I never thought I'd ever use those words for Australia, but it kind of makes me think, are they going to do a 99 World Cup where they started scratching? Although it was a different format in 1999, they had group stages and 2 groups of tables. Like, I was going through their format where they kind of were second on the table in their group stages. We played 5. They won 3, they lost 2. I think they went through probably on net run rate. Yeah, I think New Zealand were third. I'm still confused about that table actually. Yeah, but I hope they're not going to do a 99 World Cup. That'd be too traumatic to watch. But it could happen. But hopefully not. Hopefully it keeps to form like India, New Zealand, Pakistan, South Africa. That'd be perfect. I just wouldn't want India against New Zealand because New Zealand seems to have the wood over India in World Cups. So unfortunately, we'll have to play against New Zealand. I think we could be New Zealand, depending on the pitch, of course. If it's a nice, fair, flat pitch, we should be fine. Just
I kind of like you going back. I kind of like you going back to that nostalgia of the '99 World Cup and stuff. But I mean, you got to compare the caliber of players that Australia had back then and to what it is now. So I mean, it's kind of a far cry. And I mean, getting back to Quinny, I mean, this was a fantastic innings again. I mean, he looked so composed, so assured. I mean, he seems like a man on a mission. I mean, I watched his press conference the day before, and he sounded so confident. And the Cock is someone that when he's interviewed, he doesn't seem confident. He seems to shy away from a lot of questions, but he didn't shy away. I mean, he seems so determined. He seems like he wants to leave on a good mark. I mean, this being his last 50 over tournament. This is a man on a mission, sir. This is a man on a mission. I mean, 2 centuries in a row. He was fantastic in this game here, and I think the way South Africa performed in this game, it was probably the perfect game of cricket that a team can play. I mean, if you look at the coaching staff, I mean, they would be impressed with this performance. I mean, 311 for 7 being put in, a good opening stand with Bavuma and the Cock. I think Bavuma gave him good support, and he could free himself up. 108 runs, and after that opening partnership, Australia were chasing the game. They were always chasing the game, Sid, because I mean, Rassie came in, he chipped in with 40, and then Markham looked so good for 56, Sid. He looked so good for 56. I actually thought he was going to go on and score 100, but he just gave it away there. But I mean, in the end, they managed to get to 311 for 7, and I honestly speaking, I felt quietly confident because I saw towards the end of the innings, this pitch was getting a little bit harder to bat on. The ball was holding up, and it wasn't so fluent for stroke play. But I mean, wow, boy, oh boy, I didn't see this bowling performance coming because I mean, I wasn't impressed with the bowling the first game against Sri Lanka. But I mean, from ball 1, SA hit their straps. I mean, Lungi, this was one of his best bowling performances. I would say probably his standout bowling performance in the tournament. This was Lungi Ngidi at his best. I mean, he was swinging the ball at pace and gave the Australians all sorts of trouble. I mean, there were so many dot deliveries in that spell, and then Jansen as well was giving them trouble. And as Australia were doing here in SA, they tried to get out of jail, play big shots, and it proved their downfall. People are always going to be very controversial about what happened with Steve Smith, but I mean, it is what it is, man. I mean, the umpire overturned it, and when you look at it again, it kind of didn't look adjacent. It kind of felt like it was going away from leg stump. But I mean, DRS proved it other way. It was actually smashing into leg stump, and Steve Smith himself was a bit surprised. But I mean, fair play to Rabada, because he did give Steve Smith a bit of problems there, and Steve Smith and Rabada has some history with them. Rabada always seems to have his number in matches, be it test matches or ODIs. He always seems to get Steve Smith out. And I mean, we know what a class like Steve Smith. We're not taking anything away from the talent of Steve Smith. He's a classy batsman. And the biggest problem with Australia in this tournament is their senior players are not really stepping up, Sid. Their senior players are not really stepping up with the bat. And I mean, a higher score of 46 from Marnus. And let's be honest here, Marnus was not even on the short list for the World Cup. No. It was only because of Travis Head being injured that Marnus got into this tournament. And it seems at the moment that Marnus is the best batter in this Australian lineup, which is a bit scary to say the least, because you've got experience in Warner, you've got experience in Steve Smith, in that batting lineup. And I also think dropping their wicketkeeper after a single game, Alex Carey. I mean, everybody didn't have a good game against India, and bringing in a guy like Inglis, who's not a bad player, but I think he's more favored to the T20 format. And you can see he was well out of his depth in this kind of format. I mean, that was a beautiful ball from Rabada. I mean, it swung it swung into him and castled that middle stump. And I mean, this was a perfect game of cricket. I mean, the Proteas outplayed Australia in the batting, bowling, and fielding. They were head and shoulders above the rest. I didn't expect this to be that easy. I didn't expect this to be that easy because, I mean, if you look at the history of SA in Australia, it's always been so competitive. We've always been so close in World Cups dating back to 1992, And, I mean, to beat one of your arch nemesis the way that they've done, I think, leaves a mark and kind of gets the other teams thinking in this World Cup. I mean, wow, this team's got a good, top six, I mean, and they're fielding well and they're bowling well. So, I mean, it kind of gives other teams, something to think about, So, yeah, perfect start for the Proteas. But as I said, one game at a time, hey?
Yeah, okay. I better just maybe complete this chat because I didn't realize India already started. They are 23 without loss and 2.4 overs. They're going at a run rate of 8.62. Shubman Gill is, batting like never before. It looks like 16 of 10 balls. And then Rohit Sharma is at a run of ball. And the way they bat at this rate, India is going to have a really good net run rate at the end of this match.
I mean, I did say, I mean, Pakistan 100 short here, definitely from the position that they were in. And India will target this match and they'll want to try and finish it like with 15 overs to spare, which I think would do them well. It all depends on how they're batting. But as I say, Pakistan shot themselves in the foot today, Sid. I mean, this was such a high-profile game. I mean, there was so much of hype before this game. And they collapsed like a deck of cards. They completely collapsed like a deck of cards. Yeah, I think so much, when they review this game, I mean, they will look at this as a missed opportunity from where they were to what they are now.
I pulled the Mockle on Gale. He just got out. It was on ESPN Crick Info. Cut hard, but straight to point. Who takes a super catch by Siddharth Khan. I'm looking at it from ESPN. Hey, I spoke too soon. Yeah, Pakistan won't give up. That's for sure. I think if they make India work hard for these runs, there's no shame to losing to India either way. But at least for the neutrals, make it competitive. I mean, because if India win this too easy, but if complacency comes in, you don't want to really go through. Although I won't think India is going to go through this group unbeaten. Although I know Australia did it in the 2007 World Cup, winning all their matches unbeaten and won the damn World Cup. And I remember how embarrassing we were in that semi-final, even in 2007. So, yeah, that was a bit depressing to watch.
Yeah, I've just got a theory about that World Cup because that was one of the most, that World Cup was kind of a financial loss because India and Pakistan were out of the World Cup early. So, remember that World Cup. So I don't think Australia were really tested in that World Cup in terms of opposition. The one team that probably were able to test them was SA, and obviously that semi-final was completely one-sided. I think,
that was a funeral. That was a funeral, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But, going to the World Cup, SA was probably the one side that could, compete with Australia. But, I mean, it's different nowadays. It's much more competitive nowadays. And as I said, Australia are not the force that they are. And at the moment, I would say it's looking tough for them to get into the semis with a negative net run rate. But, I mean, you wouldn't want to write them off so early. So there's a lot of games left. They could always regroup.
Yeah, but I know I said Australia should beat Sri Lanka and Pakistan, but look at this match in Sri Lanka. It's actually in Lucknow, and Lucknow is where. Did we play Australia in Lucknow, by the way?
Oh, yeah, we played in Lucknow.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So
if Australia are going to beat Sri Lanka, they're going to have to bat first because I don't think they're good chasing. I think they were pathetic against us, and I think they should bat first against Sri Lanka. And at least make about 250, 300 on that pitch, and they'll probably fancy their chances. Oh, I don't know what they should do. Because if they're batting and playing in Lucknow, I don't feel so confident now for them. But if they play properly,
I mean, let's not underestimate Sri Lanka because Sri Lanka batted quite well in this World Cup so far. So I mean, 326 in the opening game and 343 in the first game. So you don't want to write off Sri Lanka, but I think Australia, if they lose that game, boy, you could really see, the alarm bells ringing, and probably it's going to be out of their reach to get to a playoff spot. It's really going to be difficult if they lose that game. But I mean, the next two games are not going to be easy games. As I say, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, if Pakistan loses this game, by the looks of things, they're going to come hard against Australia. So
Yeah,
there's
but
going to
look
be a
at
lot to play for in that game.
but look at
Yeah,
this
there's
venue.
going to be a lot to
It's
play for in that game.
actually they're playing in Bangalore, which is a day-nighter, and that pitch will suit Australia to the T, man. That's a batting paradise. And if Australia can beat Sri Lanka on that pitch in Lucknow, I think they'll be fine going to Bangalore because I think that will suit them more than Pakistan. I don't know what pitch they'll prepare, but if it's a fair pitch, which it generally is in Bangalore, I think it's a batting paradise. The batsmen will have heaven. They'll feel like they'll feel that they're batting, on heaven. So I think they'll be fine in that match. They're just going to beat Sri Lanka, then they'll be back on the competition. It'd be a bit weird seeing Australia.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The funny thing is Pakistan have such a good record in India. I mean, if you look at their track record in India, it's 19-11, 19 wins to Pakistan, 19-11 to India. So this performance from Pakistan today, this kind of batting implosion was so uncharacteristic of them. I mean, the way they've performed, so far in the tournament, and I guess a game that has so much of hype about it, and it's there's so much at stake here in the sense of it being such a big rivalry. Just batting out your 50 overs, could have done them the word of good because they were almost batting like 5 and over. So it's kind of an implosion here. So I wouldn't write off Pakistan in the game. As much as Australia, are the team that they are, you can never write them off. I just feel they don't look like a confident unit at the moment. So in their fielding, I mean, they dropped 6 catches in that SA game. They dropped 1 in that India game, which was a crucial one. I mean, defending such a low total. But I mean, their fielding against South Africa was absolutely shocking. It was diabolical. It's something you don't see from Australia. And I'll be honest with you. I think the likes of Bangladesh and West Indies would have taken some of those catches. That's how straightforward they were. They were really straightforward catches that they were dropping. So I mean, I was watching a bit of this in the car, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I mean, because you don't expect this from Australia. You really don't expect this from Australia. So this looks like a side they seem tired. They seem low on confidence. It's something you don't associate with Australia going to a World Cup because they're always up for. They're always up for it in tournaments. So what? I feel the likes of Sri Lanka and Pakistan are, they would fancy playing Australia in the situation that Australia are in at the moment. I mean, they are in a precarious situation in terms of their batting, their bowling. I mean, their wicketkeeper, they can't decide who's going to keep wicket in the next match, whether it's going to be Josh Inglis or whether it's going to be come back to Alex Carey. There's so much of shuffling going on in this Australian team that you really don't know.
I thought he was injured, Alex Carey. I was wondering why Josh Inglis is playing and not Carey. That's very dodgy. Normally Australia are quite sorted out with their selections, but anyway, that's their problem. Let's not worry about them too much. I'm sure they'll figure it out some way or another. But if they can beat Sri Lanka and Lucknow, I think they'll have enough confidence for Bangalore. They'll beat Pakistan, depending on the margin of defeat to India. But either way, India will have Bangladesh in Pune, and I'm going to say India will win to continue their merry ways. And we'll play against Netherlands on the 17th of October, and I don't expect any more shocks. I can't take it anymore. We'll beat them for sure. And I know I said that the last time, but if we actually lose to the Netherlands, I give up on us seriously. I don't think.
I just think the last format was probably a different format, and it probably brought the mono teams more closer together. Because I mean, if you recall, Ireland also beat England in the World Cup, in the rain-affected game. So I think T20, you really can't write off anyone the day. Any team can pitch up and beat you. But I think with 50 overs, I think there's a lot more time. And, let's be honest, a lot of these teams don't play enough 50 over cricket against the big nations. Yeah. But the question mark is, are SA going to make changes for the Netherlands game? Are they going to rotate a few players? Because it's obviously a long tournament, Sid, and,
I would.
You can't expect a guy like Rabada is going to be bowling, at that same intensity for every single game. I mean, he is human. He is going to, tire out. Yeah. And I don't know if there's one eye on that England game next week in Mumbai, because that's really going to be a massive showdown. Yeah. And that's a good batting pitch as well.
I guess you do have a point. I was going to say they probably shouldn't after what Netherlands' pitch was, but maybe you're probably right. Maybe they should rotate some of the bowlers. That's not the batsmen, but the bowlers you could rotate. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You were just getting to what I was saying. I think the batting lineup should just stay the way it is because the batting is looking nice and balanced. I mean, free flowing. But I wouldn't mind, you know, kind of switching one of the seamers, probably Rabada or Ngidi, and bring a guy like Kutsia because Kutsia's got that pace, and that pace might trouble the likes of Netherlands. I
They're
don't know if
playing
you
a
agree with me.
Dharamshala. But they're playing a
Yeah,
Dharamshala.
yeah, they're playing at
That's a spinning.
Dharamshala, so
Is that a spinning pitch though? I'm kind of forgetting now. Is that a spinning pitch?
well,
I
it's a
know.
good batting week. It's a good batting deck. It's a good batting deck because
Oh,
England did make
maybe.
340.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Then
yeah,
maybe
they
I
did make
think you're probably right.
340.
Then bring in a paceman. Yeah, I think Kutsia is only the one against the Netherlands. So I don't think we should. I think we're better than Netherlands in 50 overs. It'll be very fun. It'll be very bizarre if we lost to Netherlands, that's for sure. If we lost to Netherlands, I don't think we'll have any morale left going against England. That's for sure. And I don't want to be negative, but that would be too much to watch, man. I'm okay us losing to England, by the way, but not Netherlands. So that's too much to. Although I'm not really okay with it, but it'd be a lot bearable if that makes sense to you. But they are two of your favorite teams, South Africa and England. So how would the emotions be?
Absolutely, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying in that sense. But yeah, they should get the job done. They should get the job done on Tuesday and quite comfortably as well. So let's just put this one behind us and let's focus on England and Mumbai.
Yeah, I think this is the day nighter, so I feel if it's Mumbai, I think it plays quite well at night in Mumbai. I know they thought if you bat first, you defend, but when I saw the IPL, team were having Maja there. Oh, I'm speaking a bit of Hindi now, but they're having really a lot of fun and in Mumbai chasing. So I think it's a fair pitch in Mumbai. I don't think you can really, although I think it might be Dewey. That's why teams prefer to chase Mumbai. If I could remember. So I don't know. Oh, it's just going to be a good match, eh?
Yeah,
So
I
I think,
mean, when I think about this pitch, I see some good memories of SA on this pitch here
oh,
in 1KD. It is a batting paradise. And I think the last time that they played in Mumbai in an ODI, they scored 438, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken, against, they scored 438 against India. And I think there were 3 or 4 centurions in that game. I think it was AB,
yeah.
Faf. I mean, they're not with us anymore. And also Quinny. So I think Quinny will enjoy that pitch, sir, because the ball comes on quite easily, and you know it's a lightning outfield like what you see at the Wanderers in Joburg. So it's a good batting pitch. It's a good batting deck. I think 300 is probably a minimum on that wicket. I mean, compared to Bangalore, I mean we don't know what the pitch is going to be in Bangalore, but Bangalore is also a run fest as well. So
Yeah.
this is going to be an interesting week, eh? This is really going to be an interesting week of World Cup cricket.
Yeah, my only theory is if we are playing at Netherlands, we should probably be chasing, not batting first. So we got to improve on our chasing. So if we're going to start improving on our chasing, rather do it against Netherlands. I know we lost against Netherlands chasing, but that was T20, as you said, so I'm not going to look into that. But 50 overs, we should be fine chasing against Netherlands. So that's if we win the toss, you know. Hopefully we chase in that one. Against England is fine. We can bat first and beat them to, submission. But we got to chase of it. We can't be batting first and it's not going to work.
I wouldn't be too concerned at the moment. I think at the moment it's just about getting points on the board. So it's either we bat first or bat second. I think it's also good for the likes of Bavuma to get some runs in this game, and I think Netherlands is actually probably a good starting point for him to get some runs. And if he can get into some form, probably score 70 or 80, get some confidence going, and I think our middle order is, our batting lineup is going to be looking pretty good because, I mean, we've got 3 guys that are hitting it well at the moment with the likes of, Rassi, Quinny, Markram is in superb form. And Klaassen is obviously, he's the one that can obviously, do the finishing touches with Miller. And I wouldn't mind Miller coming a little bit earlier in this Netherlands match and just getting some batting practice. It wouldn't be such a bad idea. If there's a good platform set, like, 120 run opening stand, and, if Miller comes in at number 4, just get some batting practice, because I feel Miller hasn't had enough batting practice because he hasn't had much, he hasn't had a lot, in the middle, because, I mean, the top order has been doing so superbly. I mean, the likes of Rassi, Quinny, Aiden, they've set such great platforms that Miller's job hasn't been that difficult to negotiate in this World Cup so far. So Yeah, I think this is a game where a few players can just get their, just get their confidence going, get some runs going.
But
Yeah,
you
I mean, whether
know,
we bat first or second, it doesn't really make much of a difference to me. I would
yeah.
prefer if we just bat first as well. Pileton probably score like around 340, 350, and just play to your strengths and bowl them out. Just be as ruthless as possible.
But I have a theory though. Even if we bowl first and we get them out for whatever score, we can still get Miller coming in at number three, give him some batting practice. Because I don't think we're going to lose, even if we have a bit of mixing and matching. So sometimes we got to be a bit adaptable. We can't be rigid like how we were in the 1990s. We were so set on our batting lineup, we weren't flexible like how Australia were back in the day. So I think we could do that, have a bit of flexibility against Netherlands. Against England, we can be rigid. We can keep it the way it has been right now. But against Netherlands, it's one match we can be flexible in and just have and just you know what's that word? Fill your boots kind of thing, and how you just planned it. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
No, I do. I do get what you're saying. I think it's very important to not be predictable.
Hmm.
You've got to have some variety as well.
Hmm.
And it obviously is nice to shuffle the batting order a bit now and then because it keeps the opposition guessing. And as you said, 99 South Africa was so predictable. I mean, they were a very good team in those days. Very very organized team. But
Hmm.
did they have enough match winners? Maybe not. Maybe not.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, we didn't have a Shane Warne as well. Because I think if we had a Shane Warne, we would have probably won that World Cup.
No, I think we should have probably made the final, but I don't know what we were smoking. But anyway, that's
Yeah,
another story.
yeah,
Okay, last one
that's
we'll look.
history. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll look at the last one before we wrap up. India and New Zealand are at Dharamsala. That'll be probably India's biggest test out of all the matches so far because so far we've not really been tested much. I think, yeah, but that's fine. Nice to see India winning. But if they lose to New Zealand, there's no shame in that. New Zealand's playing good cricket. They're playing at Dharamsala like the day night or so. If India are chasing at night with New Zealand bowling, it should be quite funny. It could be quite fun to watch. But I think that's my opinion. I feel this could be a tricky match for India.
I also feel it's going to be New Zealand's biggest test so far as well because I think they've had quite a comfortable draw so far. I mean, leaving out the England game where England were like really off the mark, but I think they've played teams that are,
Yeah,
you would expect them to beat the likes of
yeah,
Netherlands,
right.
Afghanistan,
Hmm.
and Netherlands, Bangladesh. I know they're going to play Afghanistan next, so they probably had a good run. And I think after Afghanistan, their draw becomes a lot more difficult. They've got the likes of India, Australia, Pakistan, SA. Those are difficult matches to
Hmm.
negotiate. Sri Lanka as well. So, I mean, their World Cup, to me, their World Cup hasn't begun as yet. There is still
Oh,
a lot, that they need to negotiate. But I think India will have a score to settle in this game, son, because New Zealand had the wood over them in tournaments. And I think they want to break that hoodoo now and beat them finally in a World Cup game. And I think this is India's best chance to beat New Zealand, to be honest with you, in a World Cup game, because I think that the other
yeah.
venues that New Zealand played them, I think kind of favored New Zealand a bit because even in the 2019 World Cup, I know the game that they were supposed to play was washed out, and then obviously that semi-final they met New Zealand on a very challenging pitch as
Hmm.
well, a low-scoring thriller.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think New Zealand have had the better of the conditions when they played India, but I think this time around, their luck might just run out.
Okay. Any final words before we actually wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, this week is going to be exciting. I think there's a few teams that are in serious trouble and they need to get off the mark. And I think the two we are talking about is probably Sri Lanka and Australia. I think that's going to be a very interesting game, sir, because that's a game of two desperate sides that are going head
Hmm.
to head with each other. Because I think if one of them lose that game, it's probably an early flight home.
Okay. I think
Yeah.
that's what's funny though. I think they're playing as 19, right, from each team. So even if they lost three, they'd have to win the remaining six. Not that I'm saying it's gonna happen, but anything can happen in the game of cricket. I think if Sri Lanka lose, definitely they're out. I don't see Sri Lanka winning five out of the six.
Yeah. You see the challenge that Sri Lanka and Australia have at the moment is their net run rate is so poor because they
Yeah.
haven't just been beaten; they've been demolished in the last two games. By quite a few. overs spared and stuff. So that's going to be affecting their net run rate. And I think teams that don't bowl bat out their 50 overs or get beaten inside 50 overs, those are danger signs because, I mean, the table is going to be a bit congested. I mean, England are still there. Obviously they had a slip up against New Zealand in the opening game, but they comfortably beat Bangladesh, and I expect them to beat Afghanistan tomorrow quite comfortably as well. So England are coming, SA are looking good, New Zealand are looking good. India, I mean, they're looking superb in home conditions. Pakistan, you can never write them off. They are dangerous side.
England. Oh, they'll enjoy themselves then.
England it's going to be very congested. So I think the teams that have lost 2 in a row now, it's going to be a bit difficult for them. I've got to be honest with you. The likes of Australia, the likes of Sri Lanka, it's difficult. And dare I say, they cannot lose the next one, because if they do lose the next one, it's definitely quite, I mean, I would say 90% kind of game over for the tournament.
I just saw Afghanistan playing as New Zealand in Chennai. So if Afghanistan can bowl well with their spinners on that pitch, and that could be a tricky match, eh? What do you think?
It could. Yeah, it could. But New Zealand is a side that doesn't generally lose these kind of games. So you expect them to get the job done. And as I say, their test is going to come afterwards against the likes of India, Pakistan, England. Sorry, they've already played in Australia, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, I think, would probably give them a lot tougher test. New Zealand, especially in Asian conditions.
Yeah, I would have said so, but if Australia beat Sri Lanka, I think they'd be too demoralized, and I think New Zealand would capitalize and have fun beating them. So I don't think it's going to be as... I would have thought so. Sri Lanka would have given them a hiding. Not a hiding, would have been competitive, but I think that's pretty much a foregone conclusion once Australia beat Sri Lanka. I'm assuming that's going to happen, provided Australia get their heads together. I think that's a mind over matter thing with them. Once they get their minds clued up, they'll be fine. Once they're clued up, but back to the gear, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, obviously something's got to change in the Australian lineup, because, I mean, the batting has been woeful at the moment, and Sri Lanka's batting has been quite good. So, I mean, they would fancy playing Australia in the condition that they're in. I mean, where they are mentally at the moment, a lot of players are just, they're just not stepping up. And, some very poor calls in that last game. But I have to say that Trevor said he's a massive loss for them. So up the order, I think, him with Warner, you can kind of exploit that first 10 overs of the power play. And I think Marsh coming up to bat with Warner, it's just not working out. I don't think Marsh is comfortable with the new ball, playing the new ball. I mean, Warner, obviously, he's an opener, and, he's done it in the past, but I don't think Marsh is, I don't think that's Mitchell's Marsh position, playing as an opener. So I think they're just pushing him into that role. So this, to me, looks like a side that, don't know what their best 11 is. They're shuffling around. The confidence is not there. Their confidence is so low. I mean, the body language of a team tells you a lot, and their body language in that SA game was shocking. It's something I don't expect from Australia, because whenever, teams play Australia, you're going to get a tough game either way. Even if you beat them, you're going to get a tough game. You're going to work your socks off to beat them, and this is very un-Australian-like. So, I mean, they've got to sort that issue out, and it's going to be an interesting game. I do think Sri Lanka have a chance of getting one over Australia at this present moment, because I think this Australian side is definitely not as strong as some of the sides that we've seen in the past. It's lacking something. It's lacking that kind of fear factor about them. They're just not up for it. They look like a side that have been touring for months, and they seem so tired and drained out and not up for this tournament. But it's really unacceptable. I mean, from a country like Australia, that have so much of resources in terms of cricket resources, to come up with that kind of, excuse in the sense that, they seem tired, a lot of traveling. It's part and parcel of the game, Sid. I mean, you play IPL. I mean, almost, more than half of this team plays IPL cricket. And we know the schedule of international players these days. It is hectic. But it's something all teams have got to deal with. And, I think the preparation is just not good enough for a team like Australia. So, I mean, it's up to them to sort their problems out.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, I'm just looking at this India situation. They're 63 for 1 after 8 overs. So they had 7.87.
Wow, they're cruising.
Yeah, they require 129 or 42 over. The required rate is 3.07, so that's a joke. It's pretty much what I've got to say. And Rohit is having fun out there, 31 of 24. Kohli's also having fun, 14 of 13. So I think we'll wrap off here. I will predict an India win, and I'm also predicting Australia to beat Sri Lanka because I'm sure they would have had a lot of scoldings, and I don't think they'll want to get any more scoldings, not just from the dressing room, but also from at home and everywhere else. And that's pretty much my final words.
Cheers, Sid. You have a good one, buddy. Let's hope the Boca wins tomorrow as well and bring it home. Big match tomorrow against France.
Tomorrow
at 9 p.m.
Sorry?
So tomorrow at 9 p.m. So
right, go
Boca. I mean, that's going to be a big one.
All right. Take care, man.
Cheers.